Hello, hello, Benotti. Hola, ¿qué pasa? My name is Whitney Modesta Criasa, and I am here as la Hechicera del Horror of Whitscraftngore. And I am here in my creepy conjuring corner of art, makeup, with tales of folklore and terror. So, when I decided this time around to do a makeup. The last few times I did some artworks for the videos, but this time I'm paling myself out because this next video, the one I'm doing now, the one you're watching now, is a bit creepy. On a visual, I felt like it would be a little bit more appropriate to do a makeup. And I'm paling myself out because I feel like it gives like a porcelain look for a doll. Because this tale that I'm about to tell, and some of the lore behind the subject of La Isla de las Muñecas, which is the island of the dolls, and that is in Mexico. So this is a story that goes towards south of Mexico, in the south of the streams. And it's a sad tale to some. Others they find a little bit more disturbing and terrifying. But this one streams towards the canals of Xochimilco, which is a combination of words. And the words are not in Spanish. They are in a language, an indigenous language. And the language is Nahuatl. When people hear this term, some people, when they look at the spelling, it's Nahuatl. But the T and the L has like a sound to it. So it would be pronounced Nahuatl. But anyway, the reason why I'm putting emphasis on this is because in the beginning, when I said hello, I said Benotti, and that is a Nahuatl greeting, which means hello. Some people would greet saying Piali, that is in a different variant. So I just decided to present some information there on the location of this place related to language. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the story here. See, this place, Xochimilco, it translates into a place where the flowers grow, or like floating gardens. Xochitl means flower, and the other word mili, it's like where flowers grow. But no, some people would say it means, yes, floating gardens, and it's the waterways that lead to this island. So I'm kind of trying to do like this blotchy, or like breakup, not like blotchy, but like a breakup, because I like to use these kinds of sponges sometimes to give like a texture, and I think it's not easy to see in this video as to how I'm doing this, but I'm kind of trying to do a little bit of yellow breakup, and I may try to make it look like it has a little bit of an aged look to this makeup. So because at first I tried to do pale, but no, sometimes dolls, when they start to age, they get like this yellowish look. And sometimes they get dirty and grimy, and so I'm trying to kind of attempt that with some of the texture. And I'll go back over it with some of the pale again with the white so it can like, pop. But yes, so on this island, you'll see plenty of dolls like that because, you know, they're exposed to the elements, you know. They have aged, they have gotten dirty, but you're probably wondering, why are these dolls there and why were they exposed to the elements? It's like, it's kind of creepy to think to some, like, why are there dolls in this place, and why is this like a tourist attraction to begin with? Like, why is it such a popular story? But that's because there was prior to this popularity, there was a man who was the caretaker of this island, and his name was Don Julian Santana Barrera, and he was the caretaker of this island. And so there was a time when he was trekking through the island, and he found something, you know, that disturbed him and saddened him, as it would most people, because he found something, or rather someone. There's a little girl, and this little girl, she was not alive. He found her body, and as he found her, he discovered that she had drowned under some kind of unknown circumstance. It was sort of a mystery. And with that little girl, you know, some people have said he found something with her. And what he found with her was a doll. And when he found her and her toy, he decided to honor her life. And he what he did with that doll was that he decided to leave that doll to the island like an offering in honor of the girl. And I think personally that was noble of him. You know, it sounded like he had good intentions. And after finding this girl and wanting to give some peace to her, like honoring her by doing that. I don't know. Some people found it kind of creepy. Well, hearing about the story. Honestly, it's kind of sad, really, in my opinion. But he didn't stop at that point. Like, he continued to bring her offerings. And the offerings that he would bring her were, you know, dolls. I mean, he just kept bringing these dolls to the island. And he just felt the need to do this. Keep bringing them to the island just to keep appeasing her. And while doing so, if he had felt like there was something about the dolls, something about the girl's spirit that he had to continue to do so. Like, he just felt that was his way to connect, to please and appease the spirit of this girl. Some would say that he went crazy doing so, but others, like his family, had said, you know, he had dedicated his life to the spirit of this girl by gifting the island. I mean, 50 years. That's quite some time to continue, you know, dedicating something like that, dolls, to a spirit. I don't know how many people, you know, would stop and think, even though some would say, oh, that's creepy. Why would someone do that? But why not? You know, in my opinion, I think it's kind of beautiful. You spend so much time in your years, you know, devoting to something that lived a short life, to someone that didn't get to live as long as you did, and you stumble upon this person, this little person. They didn't get to grow up. What would you do? Would you really think it was creepy? What would you do? Would you do the same thing? Or how would you, you know, choose to honor that individual if you were in his position? So I always try to say, you know, think about these things. Think about these intentions. Try to put yourself in their shoes before you know, say, oh, it's freaky, it's creepy. So I'll pause talking about it for a moment because I trying to flesh this out a little bit. I've gone a little bit more pale here and trying to break some stuff up. Let me see. As I use my sponges, and I think it's time for me to start using this pigmented brush. Like, some would use something like this for foundations, but it's not my use for today, because I feel like I should keep blending some stuff out a little bit, and then I'll switch back to the sponge. But until I do, I need to go ahead and fix some of this and take my bigger whoosh, quite a bit there. So this isn't really much of a tutorial. Like, I mean, usually I demonstrate things so people can, you know, see what I do as an artist, and then listen to stories, listen to tales, lore, and then kind of, you know, see how you feel about it. Maybe every now and then I'll try to throw in a little tutorial, but I've been out of the game. I mean, if you've watched me before, I've said, you know, I've had a history. I have a history of doing makeup effects and makeup on sets of films. I've been sort of out of the game for a little while, 2, almost 3 years or so, you know, because there's been personal health reasons, and then I'm busy with other things. Like, I'm busy as a screenwriter right now. I'm slammed with other projects mostly, but on my spare time, I like to try to do this kind of thing, keep people informed of, you know, cautionary tales, folklore, and other artworks. So yeah, this is different for a change, I suppose. Working on myself as opposed to other people, because that's something that I've focused more on in makeup, was other people, not so much myself. So I guess while doing this YouTube video stuff, my YouTube channel rather, that yeah, so a lot of this is artwork and makeup, demoing on myself. And if you can take from this and learn from this, that's awesome. I appreciate that if you are. But no, so when it comes to pigments, and I think I've mentioned this before in previous videos, is like, you're not just one solid color. So you have different pigments going on. And so I try to kind of capture that a little bit in some of my videos, and how I try to attempt some of these things. And by doing so, as a doll, like I said, I want to try to make myself look a little bit more aged rather than just like straight up pale. Because like I have a little bit of yellows going on. Oh crap. And then I got a little bit too much more of this white color. Because I decided to go bigger with this one. And I probably should have kept with the other one. But I can tone it down. Flesh it out a little bit. You know, this is the process that I've always felt is a little bit more, you know, tedious. You know, getting my pattern down. It can be fun though. But anyway, yes, so talking about a process. Yeah, so Barrera, he had dedicated years, 50 years, to dedicating time to this little girl with, you know, offerings of dolls. And like I said, who would usually take that kind of time? It's actually because, you know, like I said, think about it. Put yourself in someone's shoes. Like, how would you honor someone's life knowing that they lived such a short time? Like a child. And no, his family had said, you know, he spent all those years doing that, while others just didn't understand it. And I don't know the personal connection with his family and how they felt about it. There might be people that know some of that information about these stories, but I don't, as far as personal connections in his family. But one fateful day, when he had decided to visit and check on the island, he ended up dying as well. He was found on that island. I'm not sure what sources found him, like who or what the situation was, but there were claims that when his body was found, that he had died in the same manner that the little girl did, drowning. And that's kind of odd, because the circumstances, he was in the same spot where he had found her, or that's what people say. I don't know, but that is interesting. But ever since then, you know, it became like such a huge tale, you know, to tell throughout Mexico. It became international, you know, paranormal investigators go there and set up, and they start to do their investigations. And, you know, people have different stories about their experiences from that place. And some of those stories are really creepy. Like, some people say that at this island, that when they set up as paranormal investigators, or even people that just visit, some of them have this one thing in common where they say they see the dolls like move, and their eyes open and close and that kind of thing. And I find that to be really, really freaky. I don't know. I mean, I find these stories to be fascinating, but also I think with this whole story, it's a little bit more sad and tragic. But people say you know, they see these dolls moving and their eyes open, and one stays closed, the other one opens. Sometimes, like, the limbs of these dolls move. Some of these investigators claims, like, in videos and stuff, that they have found images of movements and video and capturing paranormal activities, and even in like voice recordings and stuff, some would say. I find that stuff to be fascinating, you know, regardless if you believe in it or not. It's quite interesting to hear these things. Storytelling. So with that, I like to tell stories. I like to hear stories, and I like to do it through my own art, like I'm trying to do now by me having to retell this. And so I gave myself some pigmentations here. Yeah, it's kind of broken up a little bit. I had to pale myself out and do this, but I've got to do some stuff with my eyes, you know, and I've got to do some like lips and things here. But let me tell you something about this tragedy and what some people may believe. You know, I mentioned the language. Nahuatl language, but it's the Nahuatl people that speak that language, right? Well, some people would say drowning is so tragic, right? And it doesn't really matter how someone passes. It's still, you know, it's still sad. But the thing in Nahuatl beliefs, the people that speak Nahuatl, there's an ancient belief in an energy, a water energy, called Tlaloc. Tlaloc is the water energy. Some would say a god. But here's the thing about Nahuatl people. Nahuatl people. Not all of them, not all, believe in gods. Someone preferred to say energies, or many would like to say energies, really. And this thing about Tlaloc is the water energy. And there's a belief about Tlaloc, you know. This water energy is the keeper of water. And people, some of these people that have grown into the culture, speak the language, believe that Tlaloc, if you die by water, if you die by drowning, that is an honorable death. Because water, when you really think about it, water is life. And so let's think about what Don Julian Santana Vergara, what he did. Think about his honor. You know, the way he chose to honor that girl. What did he do? He spent 50 years, you know, dedicating his time to the island off of the rivers of Xochimilco. Water. He spent his life dedicated to that place, connected to nature, taking care of that place, right? And he died by water. He honored that place. In turn, some might say and believe he died honorably. Some might say and believe that. I'm not saying. I particularly do. It's my personal, you know, I'm not going to, but who knows, you know? I just think it's beautiful. You know, some people would choose to look at a tragedy. Not just him, but the little girl. You know, even though her life was cut short, some could say what happened with her was an honorable way for water Tlaloc, that energy, to take her. Because that afterlife is more honorable through Tlaloc. Not saying more honorable, but honorable. And I find that to be poetic, beautiful, right? There's something poetic about some of these indigenous cultures, you know, saying in terms of belief, in terms of trying to look at life after death, trying to have those teachings and honor. And I just, you know, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I feel like I say that quite a bit in my videos, like, something's a beautiful thing. But honestly, think about it, you know? I mean, how would you honor somebody? How would you choose to honor a short life with something that you have seen them hold on to? She held that doll, and Barrera, he saw that. So, and then it is odd what happened to him. He died under similar circumstances. You know, he had died as well. And that is incredibly sad. But, what can you do? But, going back about dolls here. And my nose always runs a little bit when I'm doing this. It's kind of odd, I guess. So, with the water energies and these beliefs, right? These peoples I have a connection to. See, I'm talking about Nahuatl, the language, the peoples. And I said, it's kind of cool, right? You know, everything's kind of relative here. I said, excuse me, while doing this video, talking about what's relative in this video, the language is one of the prominent languages, and water is life in a lot of native ways and cultures speak. I have done a video on Turtle Island versus the Black Snake, talking about water and the importance of conserving. And in my videos, I like to try to bring like awareness to certain things. But with this one, I kind of wanted to tie in the language and dolls. And what's kind of cool by doing this is dolls. There is a doll in Mexico, or it has come from Mexico, called the Paquito doll. And I'm not sure if it still exists, but it was created at one point. And they did different versions of the doll. I think I might do my lips a little bit differently. Maybe I should pale them out a little bit. But no, there's different versions of this doll. And they did a special version where it would have the language, the Nahuatl language. It's become an educational doll, and it wasn't the only native language from Mexico to be taught through that doll. You see, there were other dolls, other languages like Purepecha language, Wirarica, because these dolls were also taught with the Spanish language, to be educational tools, so children can connect, have something to play with, and have an educational thing for them as well. But the thing is, what was incredibly interesting to me with this in particular, with this doll, people think of Mexico, a lot of people would think of Mexico and think, oh, everyone speaks Spanish, right? Yes, Spanish is a prominent language, but there are other languages that are prominent. Like, I talked about Nahuatl being a prominent language. It's a prominent indigenous language. And what I'd like to say and express is that it's important. I think it's extremely important to pass down and preserve these languages. Granted, yes, Nahuatl is a prominent language. However, it's up to the cultures, it's up to the peoples, and to those who wish to learn, to keep it prominent, to keep its importance, because there's so many languages, not just south of the border in Mexico, but in South America, that lose cultures, languages. People, some of these peoples just don't have a means to learn. They're not as connected, or there's a disconnect for different reasons. There's environmental reasons, there's poverty, there's different things that have taken people from their languages. But to those who are reconnecting to culture, and I'm one of them, I have decided to, along with my Spanish endeavors, to reconnect with the Nahuatl language as well. And by doing so, reconnecting to cultures, reconnecting to language, I just feel like it's extremely important to find the means, to find the tools, to find the education however you can. If you have a language, if you have a culture, and you really want to preserve it, then you should go for it. So that's part of why I decided to do this video, is to talk about not only the doll, the island of the dolls, but what does this mean to me? Because this language, Nahuatl, being like one of the oldest and most prominent languages of different variants, that is of importance to me, and is importance to a lot of people. Just to kind of keep things going, never stop learning. I don't know how far I'll be taking my journey, but as far as I can, I'll definitely try. And educating and trying to learn different things with languages, Spanish, Nahuatl, and learning other cultures and sharing them, the lores, the stories, because that is the whole point of why I'm doing my YouTube channel. And usually when I am doing this kind of thing, I just feel it's neat to kind of give like morals of stories, morals of backgrounds, why I'm doing this. And so this is it. And so I guess with this doll look, I decided to do like a cracked doll look. I decided to kind of go with this like black, just kind of give it, you know, cracks, black here. Maybe I should have done something more with my brows. Maybe I'll take a stab at that in a little bit. But yeah, here we go. Cracks in my face. There we go. And when I kind of go a little bit more black, I think I'm gonna go in and highlight in these black areas, lighten them up a little bit. Because I went down in my eye over here. And sometimes if you put too much water in your color, it could really run. And I'm trying really hard not to let that happen. And I could probably try to hollow out my cheeks a little bit. Now, with the time that I'm doing this video, speaking of morals, of stories, and reasons to share things that are important and advocate for things, you know, the little girl, she didn't, you know, live long. And the thing, in a strange way, when you think of like an adult like Banana who had honored this child in an interesting way with it, the time of year that I decided to do this, it's close to the holidays, right? And I felt, okay, Banana did something that, you know, people would say is almost like a Santa Claus kind of thing. He was giving, but only to a girl that wasn't living. And maybe I did too much here. I don't know. I could break it up. And there are a lot of children, you know, that don't really, that are living, you know, that haven't been honored in their lives. And sometimes I can't help but to think about that with like holidays coming up. Especially, you know, thinking about Indigenous children that are at the borders. And there's this thing, this site, I'll have it in my website at the end, like when I share my information. There's a site that I've been looking at to, you know, help kind of dedicate, you know, time and gift giving that I came across on Instagram called Border Kindness. And that is a site that people can look at if they want to send gifts to these children that are stuck at the border, that aren't with family. And I especially think of them during this time of year because these children, I can't imagine what it's like. Some of them speak Spanish, a good portion of them. But if you really think about it, some of them speak their indigenous languages and don't know English or Spanish. Maybe they do know both, but the thing is, regardless of language, regardless of the barrier or what they can and can't speak, actions speak pretty loud, in my opinion, and kindness does. And if there's ever a point to honor these children, in a sense of while they're still living, and give them a Christmas that, you know, they deserve just as much as any other child, consider buying a gift for these children, or one of them. I'll provide the link in my link tree if anyone is interested in taking a look. And I'll do that here in a little bit. But until then, I think I'm gonna finish up some of this look here. I like to do a little bit of a crack down my neck here. But yeah, so I guess it's time for me to wrap up. And no, I didn't exactly get to hollow out these cheeks of mine, but here is my porcelain doll look. A little bit aged, a little bit funky. Not much of a tutorial this time, but yeah, so this is how I would do a porcelain doll look in this island of the dolls, la Isla de las Muñecas. And so I guess as I wrap up, I'm gonna go ahead and say again, thank you for choosing to watch me and listening to how I interpret these stories, how I like to tell, you know, folklore tales, terror, folklore, you know, I said that already, but I like to give, you know, something to it, how to bring awarenesses to things. And so talking about keeping language alive, talking about how to give to others while they're still here, especially children. And so with that being said, that site, Border Kindness, I'll have it in my link tree. And this is all my information here, which is my YouTube channel, which is La Hechicera del Horror. I'm still working on that. Is makeup, art, commissions, and art lessons, which I'll do, you know, if you're interested in that, or gifting somebody that for their own holiday, you know, gifts. I'd be more than happy to teach some art or makeup through Zoom. Perhaps even in person, but if you're not located in the North Carolina area, that'd be kind of hard. But yes, I'll teach through Zoom. So email me if you're interested in, yes, art commissions or, you know, art lessons. And so my email is whitney.collazo@gmail.com. My socials and sites are all through my link tree. www.linktree, linktre, or tr.ee, /Whitscraftngore. So all my social sites, you know, you could contact me, and like I said, art lessons, PayPal me, email me through all of that good stuff. Then yes, if you're interested in Border Kindness, I'll have that link on my link tree. And so thanks for sticking around for art, makeup, and watching me La Hechicera of horror here at Whitscraftngore. Have a good one. Until next time.